All right, welcome back, everyone. Today, we are jumping into what is, without a doubt, the very first thing you got to do on any wireless job. It's that one thing you have to nail before you can even think about diagnosing or fixing anything. Simply getting in. So, let's get right to it.
And just so we're all on the same page, this explainer is part 2 of our 10-part series built for you, the wireless technicians in the field. We're digging deep into an incredible report from the experts at RFI Detectives who are part of Virtualization Options LLC to bring you practical, useful knowledge. And this, right here, is what we're working from. It's a super comprehensive report, written for 2026, and that's important, right? It means we're dealing with the latest standards and best practices, the stuff you're actually going to see out there, from Wi-Fi 6E all the way to WPA3.
Okay, so let's set the scene. You're on site, the client's breathing down your neck, the network's dead. What's the very first thing you do? It's not running a speed test, it's not grabbing your spectrum analyzer. Not yet. No, the absolute first step, the one you can't skip, is getting access to the configuration interface. Simple as that. If you can't get in, you can't do a thing.
So that's the mission. How do we get in? Well, the most common way, your universal key for pretty much all consumer and small business gear, is the good old web-based administrative interface. It's a classic for a reason. And the process itself, it's usually pretty straightforward. First, you got to connect your machine. And look, I'm going to give you a pro tip here. Use an Ethernet cable if you can, especially if the Wi-Fi is the whole reason you're there in the first place, right? From there, you pop open a browser, punch in the router's IP, and then you just need those magic login credentials.
Okay, and this slide right here, you should probably screenshot this. This is your first line of attack cheat sheet. If nobody wrote down the IP address, which, let's be honest, happens all the time, these are the defaults you're going to try first. And a lot of the newer stuff from manufacturers makes it even easier with these friendly URLs. So the key takeaway is try these before you start tearing your hair out.
And this right here, this quote is something we should all have tattooed on our brains. Leaving the default credentials, admin and password, is like leaving the front door to the house wide open with a sign that says, "Come on in." And if the client has changed it but lost it, well, remember your last resort, that tiny little recess reset button. It'll bring it back to factory defaults.
All right, so we've talked about the classic browser interface, but these days there's another tool that's literally in every single technician's pocket, the mobile app. I mean, everyone's got a smartphone, so manufacturers have definitely jumped on board with apps for setup and basic tweaks.
And this really lays out the big trade-off, doesn't it? The mobile apps are great for a quick fix, changing the Wi-Fi name or the password on the fly. But, and this is a big but that the report points out, they almost always hide the advanced stuff, the things we as techs really need, like channel width, transmit power, all that good stuff. So for a real deep dive, for professional work, the web interface is still king, no question.
Okay, but a wireless connection is a two-way street, right? It's not just about the router. If you really want to troubleshoot a problem, you have to understand both sides of that conversation. And that means knowing your way around the settings on the client devices, too.
So, for your Windows machines, you're going to head to Settings, then Network and Internet, and finally click on Wi-Fi. That's where you'll find all the connection properties.
And on a Mac? Super similar. You'll open up System Settings, go to Network, and then just select the Wi-Fi interface. Easy peasy. And of course, for mobile, it's even simpler. On an iPhone, it's just Settings, then Wi-Fi. On Android, it's usually Settings, Network and Internet, and then Wi-Fi. Knowing these paths cold is so important, it lets you figure out really fast if the problem's with the network or if it's just a funky setting on the user's device.
Okay, let's level up for a second. For all of you working on the big stuff, the enterprise-grade equipment, the ways you get in get a little more serious. And your professional habits, they become absolutely critical.
So in the enterprise space, you're going to run into the Command Line Interface, or CLI. This is the real deal. It's a text-based way to configure gear, usually over a secure connection like SSH. Look, it's way faster, you can script it, and it gives you a level of fine-tuned control that you just can't get from clicking around in a web GUI.
These big systems also use something called Role-Based Access Control, or RBAC. Think of it this way. Instead of one admin password for everybody, RBAC means different people get different keys. A junior tech might be able to check the status, but only a senior engineer can change the core configuration. It's a huge deal for security and just keeping track of who did what in a big company.
So it all comes down to building these pro-level habits. This checklist right here, this is how you save your future self from a massive headache. First, document everything. How to get in, the IP, the credentials, and for goodness sake, put it somewhere secure like a password manager. Second, make a note of any weird stuff, like if you need to be on a specific management VLAN to even talk to the device. And last but not least, be aware of security lockouts. You don't want to fat finger the password a few too many times and lock yourself out right when the pressure is on.
So I want to leave you with this question. You know how to get in, that's step one. But what about 6 months from now, when you're not on site and some other tech has to jump on a problem at 2 a.m.? Is your documentation going to be good enough to get them out of trouble, or is it going to be part of the problem? That right there is what separates the amateurs from the pros.